Hi, it's Doug Hutchins with the Doug Hutchins team. Congratulations on your upcoming closing. Today I want to let you know what you can expect at the closing. In addition, I will remind you about what you need to bring to the closing. We'll also be emailing you the list of what you need to bring along with directions to the closing location. Whether you are buying or selling your home, you need to bring a valid ID to the closing. The two most common forms of valid ID are your driver's license or passport. Make sure none of these are expired, otherwise they won't be able to be used by the closing company. The closing will be in a conference room at the closing company or real estate company office. The closer, who is an employee of the closing company, will walk you through all the documents you will be signing. We should receive all the closing documents a day or two in advance of the closing, and we will review and go through the settlement statement with you once we've received it. Typically, both the buyer and seller are at the closing, and all documents will be signed by the buyer and seller at the same time. In addition to the buyers and sellers and closer being at the closing table, the real estate agents for the buyer and seller, as well as the buyer's lender, might also be in the room. Of course, a member of my team will be with you at the closing table. When you arrive at the closing, pick a side of the table to sit on at the conference room. The closer typically sits at the head of the table, and buyers and sellers typically sit on opposite sides of the table. It's easier to pass the papers up and down one side of the table than across the table as you sign. The closing actually consists of two separate closings. The first closing is for the real estate transaction, and the second closing is for the buyer's loan, unless the buyer is paying cash for the home. The real estate closing documents consist of approximately 10 documents both the buyer and seller will sign. This typically moves along quickly and takes about 15 to 20 minutes to review and sign the documents. The loan closing has a lot of documentation for the buyer to sign and typically takes 20 to 30 minutes. Most lenders require the closing company to send certain documents from the real estate closing and loan closing to the lender for the lender to review and make sure the documents are properly signed. The closer will typically have the buyer and seller sign these documents first, and then they will leave the room to send these documents to the lender. Once sent, the closer will return to the room and complete the rest of the real estate loan closing. After all the documents are signed, the closer will make copies for everyone and will contact the lender to make sure the lender has approved the documents and has released the funds. This typically takes another 10 to 20 minutes depending upon how quickly the lender is able to review the documents that were sent to them. If you are a buyer, you need to remember to bring your valid ID plus certified funds for your down payment and closing costs. Certified funds are either a cashier's check from your bank or a wire transfer. A closing company will not accept a personal check, money order, or cash for your down payment. If you're wiring funds to the closing company, please make sure to double check those wiring instructions. Wire fraud is prevalent in the real estate industry, and hackers are trying to send buyers and sellers bogus wiring instructions. So please make sure you double check the wiring instructions with the closing company. If you are a seller, you need to remember to bring your valid ID plus all keys and garage door remotes. Keys include your mailbox key and pool key if applicable. It's also great to have a list of your neighbors that you can share with the new owner so they'll know who lives next to them when they move into your home. If you have any questions about the closing or what to bring, please give me or one of my team members a call and we'll be happy to answer your questions. We greatly appreciate your business and the trust you've placed in us to help you buy or sell your home.